Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Paranormal Guyz. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope that you're not snowed or frozen in. I understand a large portion of the country got a lot of ice and snow, so I hope everybody's doing well. We got a great show lined up tonight. Some good guests. We've got 2 authors on tonight, but I wanted to make a little announcement first thing. There's going to be a big change coming to the Paranormal Guyz, and it's all for the good. Thanks to you, thanks to my team. We were picked up today by a radio station, so we will be going out live. Well, I'm sorry, not live. We will be rebroadcast on WDJY. That's WDJY 99.1 FM, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Our time slot will be Friday afternoons and Saturday nights for the Misfits. So we're going to welcome our new listeners from there. That starts February 5th, so you'll be seeing some cool things there. Let's open up this phone line. The chat is open. Hello and welcome to the show. And let's open up the phone lines. And, of course, you know the number. I say it a million times. It's 1-888-88-YERGZ. That's 1-888-88-YERGZ on your phone. And we want to thank our sponsor there, Yerg's Radio, for his help making us successful. All right, enough of me. Let's see who we got hiding in the background here. We have Mr. Dizzle, the one and only Bobby D, and Miss Dina. How are you all tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Great.
Good.
You're iced in.
Yeah, I'm something.
Snowed in.
Ready to eat my pets.
Wow.
Donner party, baby. I'm like the Chilean rugby team over here.
Oh no.
Snowed in.
All right, PETA, BobbyDizzle.com. Remember that.
Look, they didn't eat animals in Chilean in that movie. They ate each other.
That's right.
They kept it in the family, if you will.
I guess, who do we call for that? I don't know.
The police, Glenn. The cops.
I'm sorry. I live in Atlanta, you know, so.
It's cannibalism.
It's dog eat dog in Atlanta. All right.
Bob World up here.
We've got a great guest lined up tonight. He's got a great book. It's got the paranormal spirit to it. Mike. Oh, God, he just said Tulli. I had to stop and pause before I screwed that up. Get somebody else mad at me. He is backstage. Let's bring him in. Hey, Mike. Welcome.
How you guys doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Pretty good.
Welcome to the show. So tell us about yourself, and then I want to dive into this book and hear all the stuff about it.
Well, my name is Mike Tulli, and I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. And I kind of fell into being an author by accident. Been writing for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And wrote about an experience I had going on about 10 years ago, where I started having dreams about this girl, Laura, who had died 4 or 5 years prior. And she came to me in dreams years after her murder in 2009. So I figured I'd write my experiences about it. And here we are about a year in from the book, and it's doing well.
Wow. So this just started happening at random, or?
Well, it was in October of 2014, and I have another business besides writing, and I've been doing that for about 20 years. And I was at my house, and I was doing some work on the computer and listening to some music on YouTube on my laptop, and it was going through like 80 songs, and this Christopher Cross song came on, but it wasn't the actual video, the Christopher Cross video. It was like a tribute video, and it was her tribute video.
Oh wow.
And I watched it, and I watched it like 5 times, and for some reason I could not get this girl out of my head. And I thought maybe I just felt bad for a girl that passed away, but it just kept eating at me. And next thing I know, weird things started happening. I started about a month into it. I started having dreams, and the dreams would go from one time a month to twice a month, sometimes back-to-back nights. And that went on. It still goes on today. I still have dreams about her, not as frequently, but I would say I would have a dream about every month for 8 years.
Oh
Wow.
Yeah.
that's
Is it the
crazy.
same dream or like different plots?
No, they were all different. They were all different. So what I started doing was I started to write it. I kind of played with a journal all my life. Well, ever since college. And I was talking to my sister, and she's like, well, why don't you just write your dream? I started writing my dreams in my journal
Mhm.
to just kind of see if I could, play detective here. Like, what's going on? Why am I having these dreams? Maybe it's just in my head. So I kept every time the dreams were so vivid, I could remember, every detail of them. Now there were some that I couldn't, it'd be like getting a bad reception. I would remember I did have a dream about something or about her, but I couldn't really remember it, or I get bits and pieces. But then there were some that were so vivid, I could tell you the color nail polish she was wearing in my dream. So I just started writing them down in my journal, and just seeing if I could find any clues to why I keep having these dreams, because I had no idea. And I wasn't really into that kind of stuff, having dreams about dead people.
Yeah.
Like I saw, what was it, the movie with Bruce Willis, The Sixth Sense, and
Mhm.
yeah, I don't see dead people, but I sure the hell dream about them, apparently. So I just, over the course of 8 years, I was just writing them in my journal, and then different things started happening where I would see repeating numbers, usually the number 222. That's why I have my publication company for my books, 222 Media Group, stemming from that.
Mhm.
So I would have a dream about Laura. I would see the numbers 222, and then I wake up, it'd be 2:22 a.m. or 2:22 in the afternoon, or 12:22. I would be driving, and I would see 222 everywhere. I mean, I can't tell you how many license plates had the numbers 222 on them, either in, up where I'm from in Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey. They were all over the place. So, and then
Who's this sound like, Dina?
What's that?
I said, who's this sound like, Dina?
It
Sounds
sounds
like
like-
me.
Sounds like
Uh,
you. Yeah.
Me and my damn numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Freaked me out a
thought,
little bit when you said that.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it started like that, and then weird things started happening. I was getting spooked. Like, I'm thinking, did I open up Pandora's box here? Like, did I do something I shouldn't have done? Because
Yeah.
it was something beyond what I could comprehend, and I wasn't. My sister was all into that spirituality and spirits and all that kind of stuff, and I would make fun of her, when I was a kid. And here it's happening to me, and she's like, oh, you used to make fun of me about it, and now you're experiencing it. So I would just write in my journal. So my book is based on my journal entries. So if you read my book, you'll see all my journal entries from 2014 to 2022, and up to that time, I've had about 35 dreams total. And of course, I still have dreams now. I might have maybe five a year now, where I was having one almost every month, and then it would stop for a little bit and then continue. And so yeah, so that's what the book is based on, my journal entries from my dreams.
Did she live in the area where you live, or
No, she's out west.
okay?
I keep her identity pretty private,
Yeah.
just because it was a big ordeal about her murder, and I didn't want to. Her name really is Laura.
Okay.
In the book I don't mention her last name, and I don't mention where she's from, but she is from out west.
Yeah.
So you could kind of pick and choose with where.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just wanted, for the privacy of her family, I didn't want to, because I know that was, I read a lot about the trial of the murder and all that, and it was pretty, and it's worn the family down. And I've talked to her cousin recently. I've actually got to know some family members, and the one cousin in particular who I've talked to recently, he was up for parole, believe it or not, and they had to write these statements so he wouldn't get paroled.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it. Yeah, and the family's just beat up.
He was
Yeah.
convicted of murder, and now he's or could have gotten out. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, like, because he was just shy of his 18th birthday, so he was almost tried as a minor. If he was a minor,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was pretty intense, and it still bothered a lot of the family members. Just haven't gotten over it. They don't like talking about it. I don't think a lot of them were happy about me writing the book, to be honest with you. But I wasn't writing about her murder. I was just writing about my experience
Mhm.
with her. Like, I just touch on what happened. I don't go into details about the murder, but I just concentrate on the experiences I had, and it's actually, I think, helped some of the family members, to a point where they're thinking, "Oh, could this be true? Like, is she really trying to connect with us? Am I kind of like the middleman here, where she's contacting me to get to them?" One of the cousins asked me that, so I'm assuming, it was tough. I'm gonna be honest. Some of the family members weren't too happy about it, but I wasn't gonna back down from not telling my story, because I believed in it, and I believed in what what happened, and it's just a tribute to her. It has nothing to do with bashing her or being anything that deals with the murder. It was my story about her, not how she died. And
Right.
so, but what I found out from just writing this little book that I didn't think would do much is it's helped a lot of people that have had a lot of tragedies, especially if they lost their soulmate or their loved ones. They have similar stories. I thought, you always think you're the only one.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, I'm the only one that has dreams about dead people.
Right.
And I'm getting stories here left and right about these people, and they're sharing their stories, and I'm helping them heal. And to be honest, sometimes I felt like an imposter, because who am I to kind of console them? I don't know, but they were asking me for advice, and I would just tell them what I went through, and but in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, who am I to do this, but then again, I'm like, I'm just helping people.
Yeah.
And
You had
apparently
the experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I started a Facebook group with the book, and that's doing well. And it's a lot of people, just you'll just be surprised how
Mhm.
many people will go through, especially having dreams or seeing their loved ones, or something tragic happened to them as well. So
Yeah.
it really is common, where I thought I was losing my mind for a minute there. So, you know, especially when this weird things started happening.
Is there any consistency to the time of the dreams you have?
Consistency as far
like the time of the night you had those dreams?
No, they could happen, you know, either in the mid. I would say probably sometimes they were like between, I would say maybe 4 and 6 a.m. Sometimes they were between 12 and 3. You know, sometimes I'd wake up and it would be like 3 a.m. or it'd be 2:22 a.m. And then sometimes I would be up at, you know, you get up in the middle of the night and then you dream, and, you know, from whenever I woke up last to the time I woke up in the morning, it happened there. So I wouldn't say there was any consistency, because sometimes I would dream about her in the afternoon too. If I fell asleep, if I randomly fell asleep on the couch, which that's I like doing. Yeah,
she's like a reverse Freddy Krueger.
Like, yeah. And they're pretty intense. You know, the dreams could get pretty detailed, where I could, you know, again, I could tell you what kind of fingernail polish she was wearing, or I've talked to her in my dreams, or sometimes in those dreams it wouldn't even speak words. It would almost be telepathic. It'd be mind to mind. And I never experienced anything like that before. And then I started researching that after this started happening to me. And obviously, you know, people on the other side tend to speak telepathically, and you know, that's happened a lot too. So yeah, that's some of the crazy stuff that's going on.
Yeah, that's weird. Now, so we've had some questions from the audience here, and then some trolls. First off, our producer down in Tampa, he said that he was from Boyertown, Pennsylvania. So
yeah, Boyertown's I would say about maybe 35-40 minutes from me. Yeah, it's not too far. We used to actually play the high school. My high school used to play Boyertown High School. And you know, when I played sports. So yeah, Boyertown's not that far.
Okay. And then Warren asked if you had any sleep paralysis with this.
No, I have gotten sleep paralysis where I could, and usually it's when I would fall asleep on the couch. I could hear the TV, and I could listen to the TV, and I'm not fully awake, and I can't move my body, and I almost have to just keep trying to wake myself up. But nothing as far as Laura is related to that sleep paralysis. But yeah, I have experienced that. Okay. And I also experienced something, and I talked to some people about it, and they tell me it's almost like a form of astral projection or something like that. And I talk about one story like that in my book, where I'm not asleep. You know, I could be laying in my bed, and I get a picture in my mind, and I can actually go into that picture and walk around. But I'm still awake because I can still feel the bed sheets. I can feel the bed. And one time I tried to do it where I turned on the radio, and I kind of used it as an anchor. As long as I could hear the music, I was okay. But sometimes I get scared because I didn't know, you know, what kind of doors I was opening there. And, you know, I would wake myself up. But then I tried to do it again, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that was pretty interesting because those are like very vivid, and I know I'm not asleep. It's like I've just stepped into it. It'd be just as real as I'm talking to you guys. That's how real it is. Yeah.
And did anything start happening to you in real life, like doors open, dishes moved, anything weird?
One story from my book. Nothing as far as seeing any ghosts or hearing anything. It was more like numbers. I would say two stories. I saw 2 mediums when this was all going down, and I wasn't a big, you know, believer in mediums, but I, you know, was told, hey, why don't you go anyway? So this happened, I think, in 2015. I had woken up, and it was actually Laura's birthday, because I found out all this information about Laura, and it would come easily to me, and it wasn't, I didn't even really have to research it. It just things from Facebook or the news clips and all that kind of stuff. So I knew when her birthday was, and I woke up that morning, and I was on a dating site at the time, and I had my phone by my bed, and the phone starts vibrating, and I'm thinking it's one of my workers calling off that morning, because it's about 6 in the morning. I'm like, oh, great, who's calling off today? And I get my phone, and it says on the dating site, you have a new match. And I'm like, okay. And I open the picture, and it's actually a picture of Laura. That was my match on the dating site.
Wow. That's crazy.
You're talking about jumping out of bed.
Yeah.
I jumped out of bed. And I'm like, I'm not seeing this, am I? And I knew it was like a spam account, like a fake profile. And I'm like, well, how did they even get this picture?
Yeah.
And I wrote to it, and I said, I know who this girl is. Please take this photo down.
Mm-hmm.
This girl is deceased. And then I refreshed it, and another picture of Laura came up. Yeah, I swear to God. And that's when I actually got really scared, like almost like a poltergeist thing, where I'm like, okay, things gonna start flying out of the TV now. Like, I was like, maybe I'm going a little too far with this. Like, maybe I'm getting into some territory I shouldn't be trekking with.
Was this someone trolling you, or was this happening?
What's this?
Was this someone trolling you with that picture, or was this just
like how could they do that? On a dating site. And the only people that knew at the time were me, my sister, and my dad. So only really 3 people knew what was going on. So I knew my sister wasn't doing it, and sure the hell knew my father wasn't going to try to get on the computer and do it.
Yeah.
So your dad's on Tinder hooking up with his son.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, yeah. And that actually freaked me out. And
do you think it was just her playing with your mind, or?
I think because I was so doubtful, like I kept pushing it away because I wasn't sure if this was real or not. It was kind of like her, because she was pretty, from what I heard from different relatives, she was like everybody loved her. Like she had no enemies, but she was ornery, and she was, she would wear you down to get whatever she wanted. And she made herself, she was making herself known, but I still wasn't really believing it. And I was starting to get really scared, because I'm like, oh, what is going on here? Because this is beyond me. And then that wasn't all. So I go to work that day, and I called my sister, and I said, hey, look, this is what just happened when I woke up. And granted, this was Laura's birthday.
Right. So
I come home from work, and I take my phone out of my pocket, and I put it on the armrest of my couch. And when I pulled my phone out, her tribute video was actually playing, and I didn't have YouTube open.
She just wanted you to acknowledge her. She just wanted you to acknowledge her.
Right. Yeah, apparently. And I was like, and then you try to justify it. You're like, well, maybe I, hit my finger on the button, and that's what happened. So I closed all the apps, and I put it on like dark mode. I went into my room and folded laundry. I came back out, and damn if that video wasn't playing again. And I was like, all right, I don't know what's going on here, but it's freaking me out. I called my sister, and she's like, you got to see a medium. I'm like, I'm not going to go see a medium. Like, that's not my thing. But I ended up going to a medium, and I write all that stories in my book. I write the story about going to the medium, and he was telling me, oh, you have past lives together, and she was your wife.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I'm just like, yeah.
No, I think she just.
I don't know about all that.
No, I think she just wanted to hear. You should have just said "Happy birthday, Laura." Okay.
Well, this was in the beginning, so like now it's like when things like that happen now, it's like okay, I know you're around.
Yeah.
But when that was first going down, I didn't know what to expect, and
Yeah,
I didn't know if I wanted any parts
understand.
of it because you don't know if that's just somebody, another entity playing around.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I went there, I think in 2015 to the first medium, and he told me all that, and I was like, okay, I still wasn't believing it.
Yeah.
And then, dreams kept happening. And then my cousin, who was like mechanic motorcycle guy, bald head, goatee, he was at a party, and he's black and white, like it's either yes or no. And he was at a party and he saw this medium at the party and she picked him out and was like, this, and this are happening to you. And he flipped out because he didn't believe in that kind of stuff. And, she knew that both of his parents had passed away. And he actually went to his sister and been like, okay, this is what this psychic or medium said. And it freaked him out because he's not that type of person at all. And then he knew at that time, other people knew about my situation, and he told me about her. He's like, yo, Mike, he's like, she's in New Jersey. Why don't you go to New Jersey? And, there's a medium there. She's really good. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I went, and it was January of 2017. So I go to this medium, and she basically tells me the same thing the first one said a few years back. And I'm like, well, why is she trying to contact me? I don't get it. And she's like, you guys had past lives. And I'm like, okay, I heard this before. I don't know if I'm really on board with this yet. And well, what? And then she's like, well, why don't you ask her? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, write her a letter. And I'm like, write her a letter? And she's like, yeah, write a piece of paper, write her a letter, why she's coming to you, and you'll get your answer. I'm like, oh, it's that easy, huh? And she's like, yeah, you put it out to the universe. I'm like, I'm not ready. Right. And so of course my sister's all into this kind of stuff. And I go home and I come back home and my sister calls me and she's like, what'd the medium say? And I'm like, she wants me to write a letter. And my sister's like, oh yeah, and then you burn it and it goes out to the universe and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, you know about this? And she's like, oh. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know about this, man. This is beyond me. And she's like, just do it. I'm like, I don't even know what to write. She's like, treat it like free writing, like you do in your journal. Sometimes, like I would free write my journals. I don't write my journals every day, but when I do, sometimes I just free write or I'm writing dreams or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I sat at my dining room table and I just started writing. And next thing you know, I have 2 pages front and back of everything that I've experienced and why. I'm like, where the hell did that just come from?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now I guess I got to go outside and burn it. And we had snow that day because I went out on my deck and it was freezing. It was like 17 degrees out. And I had this little pot that I never used. And I was like, all right, well, I'll put it in here and I'll burn it out on my deck. And, I burned it. And then I left it out there for like a few minutes. So I was just going to throw the ashes in my trash can, but I wanted to make sure it was all cooled down. So I bring it in my kitchen and I open up the trash can and I literally dumped the pot into the trash can and all the ashes came out except for 2 pieces of paper and they both fell on the floor and they were charred, but they were not completely burned. And I'm like, okay, I thought they all burned. And I picked one up and it had 1 word on it. It said love. Picked up the other one, had 1 word on it, said Laura. And I'm like, holy shoot.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tell that story in my book and I actually still have the pieces of paper and the pieces of paper are in the book too. There's pictures of them. I still have those 2 pieces of paper. And then I'm thinking, okay, if that's not a sign of something, then I don't know what it is. Yeah. And that shook me pretty hard because I'm like, okay, what am I really dealing with here? Because if she's trying to make it across, she's making it pretty loudly right now.
Those are like grade A synchronicities.
Yeah.
That's like the holy grail synchronicities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty intense.
That's something you can't replicate. So absolutely. So her case was solved,
Right.
and did she in the dreams tell you anything about the crime or anything, or all the
No,
dreams?
I had one dream about her, and I think it was the second or third dream I ever had about her, because I wondered, she didn't die right away. It took a few days, and I was wondering if she was still conscious or not, and I always wondered how she was or how she felt, or is she angry that she left this earth so fast, or did she know she was going to die? Did she know she was dying? Like, I had all these questions, and there was this one dream I had where I'm actually in a hospital room, and one of her cousins comes up to me in the dream, and she's like, "Do you want to see her?" I'm like, "Okay," and I go up to her, and I'm up to her hospital bed, and her head is completely wrapped with bandages and all. And she's there laying there, and she opens her eyes and she smiles at me. She doesn't say any words, but it was like that telepathic thing where she's saying, "I'm okay." And then, it kind of, the dream dissipated after that. But that was a pretty intense dream. I write that in my book too. I tell about that whole dream. Yeah, so that's something there.
Sorry, hit my table. It does sound like you could have had past lives together. I mean, it does sound like you have some type of connection.
Yeah, I have something, that's for sure. Otherwise, I wouldn't have wrote the book.
Yeah.
Have you looked up what 222 means?
It means so many. They're angel numbers. It could mean, depending on what you read. And I touch on numerology in my book as well because of the 222. It could be mean you're on the right path. It could, there's a Hebrew meaning to the word 222. No matter, it depends on what you look up, and I'm trying to link things. And I'm thinking that's just kind of like her code to say it's me. That's what I've come to just realize. That's like
right path and soul purpose kind of thing.
Yeah.
I used to get 120. I used to get 122 a lot. So my college apartment was 122.
Yeah. And then once you see it once, you see it all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, sometimes you try to see it and you don't see it. And it's always like when you're not, kind of,
yeah. There think you see it and it's like an S?
Yeah. You're like, damn it. I thought that was a 2. Yeah. But believe me, as I started seeing it everywhere. I didn't realize, you become so, in tune with stuff like that. And I think that has a lot to do with, the power of the mind. I think, your mind, if you think you're going to do bad things happen. If you have a positive mindset, good things happen and good things come. So I think it was kind of like that too. You see it, and it becomes more. You become more in tune with things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Bobby when we were talking about numbers like that before. I said, "Do you think it's that you just see it, or do you think that you notice it more?" And it could be either or, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. I deal with that every day. Like sometimes it never happens, and some days it's all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, some people are, they see spirits. I don't know how I would take that if I saw it, but I definitely, I can feel her. There was one time I was in my living room and watching TV. And this wasn't that long ago. And I'm watching TV and I needed to charge my phone, and I go and the charger was in my bedroom. I go in my bedroom, and for some reason she pops in my head, and I'm like, okay, like a real strong urge. And I'm like, am I gonna turn this corner and see her?
Yeah.
And I'm like kind of turning the corner to my room, and I'm like, okay, I don't see anybody. And I go grab my charger. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I just happened to look at the clock, and it was 12:22 a.m.
Oh wow!
Oh, okay. All right.
Like, what?
I didn't see you, but I knew you were here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I felt it. Like I'm like, I guess I'm an empath in a way. I
Yeah.
feel things, and I talk about this in the first part of my book, where I think that started in college for me, where when I was in college, I knew if I was doing good or bad on a test or an exam. I can go into people's houses and I can feel the energy of people's houses, and
Yeah.
I never really knew what that was as a young kid or in college, but as I've gotten older, I have feelings. Some people are really in tune with that, some people aren't, but I was always in tune with that. I can go into somebody's house and I just feel an energy, a good energy or a bad energy.
Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah. And then there was one other story where it was like November, I think, of 2020, November of 2020. And I was worrying about things about work, and all of a sudden I'm at a red light, and it was like a punch in the gut, like this feeling. I mean, it was like a wave. When you're, I don't know how many waves you have. I don't know if you go to the beach down there, or you have waves like we do up here in the Northeast, but you go to the ocean and you get hammered with the waves.
Oh yeah.
And because I've been to Florida and you don't have any waves there, but it's like you just get pummeled with a wave, and it was like a wave of emotion, and she came right to mind, and I was like, oh wow. I'm like, okay, you're here, and I'm driving, and I don't think much of it after that, and I was turning my radio in my car, and the Christopher Cross song "Think of Laura" comes on.
Wow.
And that song is never played on the radio. I mean, I think that song's from 1983. And the last time a Philly radio station played it was probably in 1984. I haven't heard that song on the radio since I was a little kid. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, they never play this song on the radio. It was weird.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
That
was pretty weird. And even the DJ on it was after the song played, he was telling about, he's like, and that was "Think of Laura" from Christopher Cross. He was surprised that he didn't play it.
So why
is this song playing on the radio for? I'm like, I'm right with you, buddy, because I haven't heard that song in 30 years.
Yeah.
Whoops, I pushed the wrong button.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. It was like, I didn't know this was like elevator, easy listening radio. But yeah, like that was really extreme, because you don't hear that song. You could hear it all day on the radio, but I mean on the internet, but
yeah,
playing on a radio, especially in Philadelphia, you're not hearing that song.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Wow. So
yeah,
you contacted her family, and was there any? I'm sure the family probably had people that believed and some that didn't believe. But was there one detail or information that you had that you couldn't have possibly have, that you told them that they were like, okay, there's no way. There's a communication there.
I don't think anything really specific. I had spoken over the summer. It was weird because to be honest with you, I didn't tell the family I wrote this book. Okay. I didn't, because I protected her last name, and I protected really her identity. So you weren't really going to know who it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was really my story. It wasn't about her murder. Mm-hmm. And what was weird was just randomly her cousin found it on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
And she emailed me on Instagram.
She knew who it was.
The picture on the front of the cover is actually Laura's eyes.
Oh.
That's really Laura's eyes. Oh, and wow. She goes, I came upon your book and I saw the eyes on the cover and I knew that was my Laura, she said.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, how am I going to explain this one? And I told her, I was honest. I said, hey, look, this is what was going on. This is what happened. And she's like, do you think she's contacting you to get to us. And I'm like, it's possible. She's like, because I've had a hard time with her death. She goes, I was like 12 years old when she died, and they wouldn't let me see her in the hospital, and I never got over it. And she goes, she's like, I almost contemplated suicide because
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I guess she was her favorite cousin, and she was like my older sister. And she was like, I never got over her death, and I still didn't. And it's funny that cousin contacted me and found the book. Out of all the cousins or anybody that found it, it was her, the one that had the hardest time with it.
Right.
And she read the book, and she knew it was her cousin.
Yeah.
She knew. Even though I don't say a last name, I don't say exactly where she's from.
Right.
She knew. I don't give great details about the murder, but yeah, she knew it was her.
So there
and
was
then
another...
I guess,
Go ahead.
And then I guess she told some of the other family members. And I got some messages from other family members that weren't too happy about it.
Well,
but I don't think they didn't read the book. And I know if they read the book, it would have been a different story because they probably thought I was writing about her murder. And which is understandable. And it's understandable that they probably think it's creepy and weird. I get it. I don't like.
It's kind of both.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
And I'm the first one to think it.
Help it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, if I had a daughter and she passed away and some random guy across the country was having dreams about her, I'd be a little weirded out and too. I'm not gonna lie about it, but I just wrote what I experienced. I mean, you could take it. I know some people are gonna think it's complete, rubbish, but hey, it's my story. This is what happened. If it can help some people, it can help some people. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I get it. It's fine. But it's helping a lot of people, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, does she actually ever speak to you in your dreams, or is it mostly tell? Okay.
Sure. If you read there was one dream. I'd have to look it up. I do remember she goes, I didn't hear which, wait, how did this go? I have to remember. I think she says, I think she said it telepathically, but I knew what she said. And I responded to her in my normal voice in my dream. I said, because I have to know you are real. So I'm assuming from what I got out of that feeling, she was asking me, why don't you believe in me? And I responded with my voice because I have to make sure that you're real. So stuff like that. There was another dream. There were so many of them. There was one where I call it, what was it called? The flickering light. What I did was, instead of putting, dream number 34 in my book, I gave each, I put them like in journal form, but I gave each dream kind of a name. And this dream was called the flickering light because I was in a parking lot in this area, actually right down the street here. And there's a light where a Dunkin' Donuts is, and that it's a fluorescent light for a parking lot. And for some reason, for years, it always flickered.
Yeah.
It doesn't flicker anymore. In my dream, it was flickering, and I'm like, oh, there's the flickering light, And I'm like, okay. And there was like all these thousands of people in this parking lot. Oh. And I could pick her out of all these thousands of people. And I was kind of nervous to go up to her. So I decided, it was almost like, you're in grade school and you like a girl and you don't want to go up and talk to her. So you're trying to make conversation. You kind of force yourself up. And she's with all her friends, so it makes it even worse. So I go up to her and I'm thinking, now there used to be a Pepsi plant right up the street here. And I said, I guess that's what I came up with. I go, where's the Pepsi plant? Up the street, you know where the director sits. That's what I said. I don't know why I said it in my dream. And they all started laughing at me, and I feel that Yeah, I don't know.
Controlling your
I
dreams.
didn't have much game when I was in sixth grade. Apparently, I had much
Hey.
game when I
Oh
Where's the
God.
Pepsi plant?
when I dreamed. Yeah, it was a Pepsi player. I'm not lying. At least I didn't say it was a Coke distributor. So you didn't know what
Did
to
she,
think.
she laugh at you?
Well, the funny thing is I go up to them and they all start laughing and I'm like,
Oh,
okay. And I feel this elbow on my shoulder and I look and it's her.
yeah.
And she whispers something funny. It was like the telepathic thing. And I just got a feeling that, okay, this is what came over me. Okay, she knows who I am. Because I was afraid to go up to her because I was afraid she didn't know who I was. And she kind of made a joke about it. And I can't she did that a lot in dreams where she makes jokes about it. And that's how she was in real life when I talked to some of her relatives,
Yeah.
she was real funny. She would make jokes about things. Yeah, she did that a lot. And there were a lot of dreams where detailed things happened. I mean, it's just so many things. There was one time there was this statue of an angel in my dream, and I actually saw the same angel in a local Kmart,
Oh wow.
but it was a bigger size. Same exact one.
Oh,
Yeah. And it was like, I think it was like 2 years after that dream had happened. Yeah. I just turned the corner in like the garden section at Kmart. And I'm like, there was a row of them. I'm like, oh my God, they were the same angels I had in my dream. So stuff like that. Yeah, that was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Can you summon her, or does she just appear? Or do you? I guess I should ask.
Either or sometimes she'll come to me when needed. Like if something's bothering me, I'll get a lot of notice from her. If sometimes I'll if something's bothering me, I'll drive around. I'm looking for 222s everywhere, and I won't see it. But then that night, I may have a dream about her, and it'll be a detailed dream. So stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. Quite a relationship.
Have you ever like pretty much put like a need like figured out exactly what the purpose of it is? Like why don't she come to you, or is it maybe like an assumption?
It could be a couple things. Obviously, the whole past life thing, soulmates, twin flames. It's just communication between the two different interdimensional relationship type thing. Also could be she wanted her family to find out about the book. Yeah. Because her family is grieving so much. And to how did her cousin find out about the book? And it's one of those things, it could be that she wanted her family to know she's okay. It could be several different things. So I just, I just go with it now. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm not thinking too deep into it now. It's like it's been 10 years. In October it'll be 10 years. Yeah, that this is going on. And I thought this was just something. I felt bad for a girl that passed away. It would last a week or so and then it'd be over. But now this is going on 10 years now.
Wow. How old was she when she was murdered?
She's 19.
19.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has it given you any different view of the afterlife, or what is the afterlife now that you believe?
I don't think anybody really has. I mean, we could all assume what the afterlife is. Nobody knows for sure. I think it's all based on faith. I mean, I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school pretty much all my life. My father says it never did me any good going to Catholic school all that time, though. I think it's just, a lot of people say it's a lot like Earth, it's just more glorified, and you're with people you love, and you do a lot of work up there where you're helping those down here. I had a buddy that passed away when he was 30. He had died of cancer, and he was one of my closest friends. And I saw cancer beat him up for a year. And I would have dreams about him too. And actually, my next book is going to be about him. I figured I did a tribute to Laura. I'm going to do a tribute to him as well.
Yeah.
But and I would get signs from him too. And that was even before this whole Laura. I mean, he died a few years before Laura did. And, I saw, and he was one of those, another person that was, you ever meet somebody and they were different, they didn't have any enemies. They were just different. And sometimes those people don't really live that long a life. It's almost like they had a mission and a purpose here, and then they're done and they move on. But we all learn from them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what life is, if you really think about it. It's just that they call it life school or something. I think it's just, we're all learning from each other. We're all connecting as human beings here, whether you're religious or spiritual. I grew up Catholic, but I would consider myself more spiritual these days. I think it's just connecting with people and just, helping others and loving. I think love is the biggest thing. And, the country's so divided now, and even the world, it's just, it's sad. But, I think that's what we all should do. Like, you guys have these podcasts, you're bringing people together, you're, on the subjects that you're doing, and you're doing a good thing here. I think we need to do that. We need to come together more. And I think that's what, when people die, they help us down here, guide us to our purpose in life. Because, to be honest with you, I always thought, we were talking before the show.
His audio.
What's that?
Your audio was breaking up.
Audio cut out.
And can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I thought I was going to be. I saw Jerry Maguire. I thought I was going to be the next Jerry Maguire. Apparently, that didn't happen. And who knew?
Show me the money.
Yeah, show me the money. And that's what I thought I was going to do. I thought, and it didn't pan out for me. And then I started my own business, and I was like, okay, well, this is my life at 44 years old. Am I going to just do this every day? And I'm like, there's got to be more to life than this. And then all of a sudden, this comes about, and I start writing. I never knew I was a writer. Hell, I could, I barely graduated high school. I don't know how I got into college, but yeah, now I'm writing and now I'm helping others. So it's almost like, Laura really, I attribute that to Laura. She helped me find my purpose in life. And that happens to a lot of people, something either traumatic or something, as profound as what I went through to help other people, find their purpose in life. You guys do the podcast because we all have other jobs, but I think it's something we enjoy doing, and we're helping others. So we're finding our purpose. And I think that's really important.
True.
That's deep.
What's the longest place you've ever seen the 222 that you weren't expecting, completely off guard?
Wow. Pretty much every time I see it.
I know. I'm just saying, there's a couple of places.
I think it was one of the dreams I had where I did see 222 in my dream, and I woke up and it was 2:22 a.m. Like that. One time I did, and I started to see her initials a lot too. I remember I'm not one that likes to fly, but me and my buddy went to Nashville. We'd go on these things where we go visit baseball, we go see baseball games or hockey games. So we flew down to Nashville, and I'm nervous. I'll do it, but I'm not crazy about it. And I remember we're landing in Nashville, and there's these signs with, I'm sure it was her initials, but I'm sure it meant something else. And it was almost like, okay, she pops in my mind, kind of like calms me down, like everything's going to be okay. And then we were on Broadway, and she popped in my head, and I turned the corner, and there's these, the little license plates with people's names on it for kids. They put on the back of their bike.
Yeah.
They were all on Laura. I took
Oh,
a
wow.
picture. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. When I turned the corner, they were all in Laura. And I'm like, oh my God.
So wild.
So that's the kind of, yeah. And my buddy's like, what's going on, man? And then he knew about it. He's like, I don't know if I could deal with all that. I'm like, yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
sign up for this.
Yeah.
Did she
so
hide
it-
treasure or something you don't know about? This is like,
What's that?
what? Did she hide treasure or something?
A treasure? Yeah.
Yeah, like she's reaching out to you like there's some shit you got to find, man.
I know. Right? I actually became, I'm thinking maybe I should have went to school to be a detective, man, because I can find out some
Yeah.
stuff now. I'm good at it. But yeah, that was crazy. And my buddy's like, I don't know how you deal with it. He's like, I couldn't deal with all that. But you kind of get used to it, and it kind of just becomes part of your second nature now. So
Yeah.
it's welcoming. It's a comfort thing. But in the beginning, I'm sure, hell, it was scary as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever test it to see if it was happening like regularly or just noticing, or just like you finally just realized, oh shit, this is my life now?
I think I
pretty
think I
regular.
pushed it away a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And the more I pushed it away, the harder she would come.
Okay, that's
So
what I meant. Like you tested it, like that's not it. That and
Yeah.
you look over here.
Yeah,
and it's
no,
like
there
just
were
in the
times
random-
like I tried to justify it, like the time, that time where I pulled my phone out of my pocket and her tribute video was playing. I'm like, oh, that was just, that I pushed the YouTube app on my phone or on my stuff like that. I have tested it, but too many things have happened. If you read the book, I mean, there's a lot more stories than what I'm telling you.
I got to read this book, man.
Yeah, that are just like
Yeah.
that are just like it's nuts, but it's but like I said again, it helps a lot of people out. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you a quick story. This September I got to meet John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard,
Uh-huh.
and his wife had just passed away.
Mhm.
And he was at a signing, and I grew up on the Dukes of Hazzard. I love
yeah.
the Dukes of Hazzard.
Me too.
And I met Tom Wopat. I met Catherine Bach. I met John, and when I was in nursery school, I think here I'll show it to you.
Denver Pile.
Yeah, I drew this picture of the General Lee when I was in nursery school. Okay, and I had them sign it.
That's
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And I drew this in 1980 when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And I had him sign it. And when I had John sign it, and I follow John on Facebook, and he's having a hard time. He had lost his wife almost a year ago, and I go, I don't know. I'm like at home, and I'm like, should I bring my book and give it to him? Like, I don't know if that's really like cheesy or like, I don't know. So I had it in a bag, and I had this with me, and I was like, all right, if it feels right, I'll give it to him. If not, I won't. I don't know how that's gonna go down. And so he signs this for me, and I said, hey John, I'd like you. And he had recognized me from the day before because I got a picture with him at the General Lee.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So I came, I had him sign. The next day I went back, and because I needed him to sign this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he remembered me, and he's like, "Oh, it's good to see you again." And I mean, this is my childhood hero. I almost hit the floor when he said that. I'm like, "Wow, you remember me?"
So cool.
Yeah, and I was like, "Whoa!" So I was totally floored, and I had him sign this, and I said, and I had the book, and I'm like, "All right, well, if you're gonna do it, you do it now."
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey John, I'd like to give you something if I can, and I'm like, I know about your wife passing and all that, and you could see him starting to tear up, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, oh crap,
Wow.
Like, make this
Way to go.
This was going so well.
I don't know if I should have done that.
Yeah.
I said I wrote this book, and it deals with, because a lot of things, and he had started having dreams about her, and a lot of things that were going on with him losing his wife. It was a lot of things that I had experienced with Laura. So I knew he could relate to this book.
Yeah.
Because he talked about, it was she was his twin flame, and now he's having dreams, and she's coming to him in dreams, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this dude needs to read my book.
Yeah.
and I gave him the book, and I said, hey, listen, and I told him what I just told you, and I said, maybe this can help you. I don't know, if you're gonna. He may have read it, and he goes, he had tears in his eyes, and he's like, thank you, Michael, I really appreciate that.
Oh.
He's, I'm gonna put this right here with my stuff, and he goes, I'm gonna get to it, and apparently somebody read it. I don't know if he had read it yet. Maybe a few months ago, again, he's posting about his wife, and I had mentioned something about my book. I didn't say, "Oh, do you remember me, the guy who did the book in Pennsylvania?"
Yeah.
But I had wrote something, like I wrote a book, and I it relates to what you said, and he liked it. And then this other woman commented and said, I read your book, Michael, it's excellent.
Oh.
And I think she works for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she has something to do with his studios down in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, maybe he did read it, or maybe he didn't, but somebody read it.
Somebody did.
Maybe
what if he's illiterate and you didn't know it, and she read it to him?
Come on.
Like some kind of weird.
God, Bobby.
God, sorry.
What were you supposed to feel
What if he's like one of those functional illiterate people and he didn't read it? And she read it to him, and he's like, oh, a book, thanks. I can't tell what it says.
Hey, that's my childhood hero you're talking about there.
Yeah, I love John Snyder too.
Oh my gosh.
So that happens. So at least one celebrity has my book.
That's pretty cool though.
Awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when that happened, when he was having a hard time there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's still having a hard time with that.
Wasn't it breast cancer she had?
Yeah, I believe so. Some type of cancer. Yeah.
I follow him too.
Yeah.
This is not even in the same vein. But did you see the Tom Wopat DUI video?
I did. Yeah, when he got pulled over.
He said, hey, I play Luke Duke, and Duke's a hazard. He's like, step out of the car, please.
I felt bad for him. He was at the signing too, and he was late to the signing, and he had lost his phone, and he had to get a new phone.
Oh no!
And he brought his guitar with him. He's a really good guy, and it's a shame. He's battling. He's battling there. He's got some things to work on. But yeah, he's a good guy. It's a shame. So yeah, I did see that video. It's kind of, the cops are like, "Hey man, we just whatever Luke Duke."
I know.
Finally caught those Duke boys.
Yeah.
The mountain didn't get him.
Yeah, the mountain didn't get him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a real good guy. So I hope he gets he figures it out. Yeah, they were all nice people. Yeah, all great.
They always seemed really nice.
Was this before James passed away?
He passed away, I think, 2015 or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I liked him. Of course, everybody likes Roscoe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, Mike, I know you can't stay with us all night, and we've got another guest coming in too.
Sure.
Where can people find you? Where can they find your book? And if anybody has something that is relatable to you, how can they get in touch with you? Because it sounds like you said, other people are having this phenomena, and it's something real to it.
Well, the book is called "The Girl I Never Knew: Love Beyond the Veil." It's how am I doing this? It's right here. That's actually Laura's eyes there. You can get it on Amazon, or you can go on michaelberardotulli.com and get it. I also have a Facebook page, Michael Berardo Tulli. It's sold in 4 countries so far, in US, Canada, UK, and Australia. How that happened, I have no idea, but somebody bought it.
Sounds like an awesome book.
Yeah, it's an easy read too. It's not a very big book, but it's an easy read. So people it doesn't have any fluff in it. It gets to the point, and I think people that experience stuff like I have will definitely enjoy it.
Very good. And don't forget, hook me up. I'd like an autographed copy, please.
Yeah, I definitely send you this time, Glenn. Definitely get it to you.
Hey, it's all right. We get busy with life.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. You said you had a Facebook group as well?
Yeah, it's the same. The Facebook group is the same as the book, the Girl I Never Knew, Love Beyond the Veil. If you type that in on Facebook, you can, you have to just get approved so we can keep the trolls out of there. But it's the same. It's the same name as the book.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. And when post editing, I'll try and put all that stuff in my YouTube and all the places that this is. So
okay.
Hopefully that'll help you out too.
Perfect.
You write that other book. You come back and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Will do.
I could probably go 2 hours with you with questions.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I enjoyed being on with you guys.
Really
appreciate
enjoyed having you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Try and stay warm up there. Don't get buried under the snow. You got your snow blower.
I only got a few inches. It's not too bad. And I actually just bought a new snow blower too, and I was excited to use it because we haven't gotten snow in like 2 years. We either get dumped on or we don't get anything in Pennsylvania. And so I think we're gonna get more snow on Friday. But yeah, you guys down south get the ice, and we had a bad ice storm years ago, where I was in high school. We didn't have school for like 2 weeks. I mean, it just was you could skate to somebody's house. That's how bad it was.
They close school in the south because it gets cold. Bunch of wusses. So.
Yeah,
you're in Washington D.C.
I used to work with a girl when I was with Kansas City, and she was from Pennsylvania. She was actually more north than I am, and she moved to South Carolina. And when they moved to South Carolina, she's like, they get snow here, and everybody shuts down. She's like, I don't get it. She's like, they get a quarter of snow. She's like, what's going on? And I was like, you guys just don't have the equipment we have, I guess. I mean, you guys
doesn't happen
down there. One of the two.
The politicians will be given the 5th degree because we weren't ready, we didn't have the stuff. They go buy. This is what happens in Atlanta, at least. They'll go buy $1 million worth of equipment next year, won't snow for 10 years, and they'll sell it, and then it'll happen again. It's a cycle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, you guys be safe down in with Georgia, and where you guys? Where are the other ones?
Alabama, Tennessee.
Alabama.
Are you guys Auburn or
Alabama?
Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's down in Alabama. So, and we had to have a day of forgiveness when Saban retired. Bobby was in mourning. So,
I'm not
they have a great program down there. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah.
That's
where I'm at.
Okay.
I'm in college town.
Yeah, my buddy he's from Michigan, and he went to Michigan, so he was excited about that win.
Hey, Mike, hold on one second. Brenda, you're calling in. Did you have a question?
Well, I actually have a statement.
Oh.
Glenn is my twin flame. He just refuses to believe it.
Okay, we got a bad connection here, so.
Hello, caller. Hello.
Bad connection. Oh my God. Bad connection.
We're going to be sleeping on the couch tonight.
How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah. I just seen it, the show, and I thought it was pretty good with this guy here. And I just thought I would call in because, you guys need some callers. So
absolutely.
Now good luck getting rid of me.
Yeah. Ross will take care of that. He'll hang up on you. So
by the way, tell Ross I like the music when you're on hold. It's really nice.
Oh, okay. I've never heard it. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's like relaxing. So
cool. Elevator music. Yeah. All right. Well, Brenda, I gotta let Mike get out of here because our next guest is hiding in the backstage.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike, we appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
Come back.
Yeah.
Will do.
All
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
See you soon. All right. Bye. All right. So Brenda's still on the phone with us. we have our next guest backstage, JR. Oh, Lord. Brenda's got me off here. I had my screen ready until the phone popped up. JR Carrel is an author, and he is backstage. And I'm going to bring him in, and we got a orange screen. He is an author. See, Dina, or no, Brenda, you mean? All right, here he comes. I bet he's turning this camera.
Manifested a big orange cube.
Those are Auburn colors. So
this is pretty cool. I can hear Bobby and Dina.
Yeah.
And
Hello.
it's technology, you know.
That's how phones work, you know.
y'all remember that old show with the mirror? And I can see Jimmy and Edith. And I can see
Oh my God!
Romper room.
yeah, I feel.
I think you need to go to bed now, Grandma. You're remembering romper room.
Right?
Time for bed, Granny.
Well, I'll let you guys go with your other interview there. I just want
I
to
watch Little House on the Prairie or something.
Thanks for calling.
Oh no!
All right, Brenda, I'll talk to you in a bit.
Bye.
Romper room.
Yeah. You got wrong number. Are you there? JR, we've got an orange screen. Oh,
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you, but now I get another one that says you're backstage again.
Yeah, I'm not sure why this screen's here. See if I can figure it out here.
Yeah, usually we just get a black screen if you're not there, but we got that's orange. This is orange.
There you go.
Stop all secondary cameras.
There it is.
Let's see if I can.
I'm still in romper room.
Yeah, it's trying to give me a green screen, and I'm not sure why.
Have you got the background turned on, maybe, or something?
It says enable virtual backgrounds off.
Okay.
Oh, hold on.
There you
Hey.
We made it.
go.
All right.
Hey, you know what? We have a paranormal show. Weird things happen. So
Exactly. You know, it's got
That's
to be something in the air.
That's right.
exactly.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that guy because he had some amazing stories, and
Yeah.
I'm just a Midwest guy who has an overactive imagination.
Hey,
Yep.
it's all right.
There's
Well,
nothing
yeah,
wrong
I
with
like that, but I'm not
Horrible.
Midwestern.
It keeps thinking Alabama's going to win. So
His
Yeah.
synchronicities are like, I'm like 1/3 that many synchronicities. I'm living that kind of life, but not all the way. He was saying shit. I'm like, oh my God. I hate that kind of stuff that happened.
Yeah, when I heard Saban retired, I was like, well, Belichick's gone. Saban.
Yeah.
Yep.
it's the world's coming to an end. So
Time to turn it over. Let's
Yeah.
that's it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what you do, and go from there. Your book that you sent yesterday, I got to blame you for staying up half the night last night. I'm halfway through it. So.
Oh, hey, that's quicker than I read.
Well, I mean, it's never mind. I have my little spectacles on.
My name is JR Carrel, as you can see there. I'm a fantasy author. I've been writing since early high school, but you graduate, life happens, you stop doing certain things,
Yep.
and I don't know, it's been about 4 years ago or so. You kind of get this feeling that you're just running on a treadmill, right, in your life, and you're just like, I need something for me, I just always tell people, I'm like, focus on, work, your family and everything, but you also need something for you, and to help kind of, feel more fulfilled. Some people do podcasting. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, but that came later,
Mhm.
but yeah, I started up writing about 4 years ago, and I just thought to myself, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. And so I created kind of a whole world, out of little tidbits of my old writing. And so I just started writing, wrote every day. I think the first book took me 121 days to write. I can't write fast like some of these people you hear. They're like, 5,000 words in a day or this, but I grind.
That's pretty fast, actually.
Well, I guess it's fast only in the reason that I don't take days off when I start a project.
Okay. Well,
I know.
You lock yourself in a room and you stay on it.
yeah.
Well, and another weird thing I tell a lot of people, because you get people who want to write, they want to write books, they want to become an author. They, how do you get time? Where's the time to do this? And I tell them, I'm like, well, I coach Pee Wee football. I work 10 hours a day, and I'm still able to write books. And I was like, one of the best tools I found, is in my pocket. I use Google Docs to write. So every bit of downtime I have while I'm at work, or if I'm waiting for the barber or whatever, I can just pull my phone out and I can just get some words in anywhere and everywhere I can.
That's good. That's good. I'd go blind doing that, Mo.
I would too. Absolutely.
I've heard that as well. They're like, I can't stare at the. I was that way too, but eventually you just you get used to it. If you're working on it, I type faster on my phone now than I do on the computer. So.
Oh Lord.
Oh wow. Were you a fan of alternate history or anything like that as far as reading before you started this? Because from what I saw, it looked like you did some research on your book.
Yeah, and that's another reason why a good day for me is some authors, a good day for them is 3,000 words. A good day for me is 1,000, because and you don't have to do this as a fantasy author, right? But I feel like people appreciate it. And people like myself, when I'm reading a book or watching a movie or whatever, and it's kind of that alternate history, it's this world, but there's, just some different stuff. And they bring something up. I'm the kind of nerd that will go and look it up. I'll be like, is that real? Is that real mythology? So I kind of do the same thing. I try to keep everything timeline wise. Boston was founded in 1632. So if my person's before that, well, it can't be there, right? So I'm very much a history buff, and I love any mythology. I love the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, amazing. Love all that stuff.
Yeah, mythology's cool too, though. We like it.
Yeah, it was one of your character. I don't know if it was a character, but someone in your book, I thought he described as a Bigfoot. I'm thinking, is this a Bigfoot he's talking about?
I'm muted over here talking.
Because you said something to the extent of, I can't remember. It was fully covered in hair and was a large person. And I thought they were trading with other tribes. I was like, is he talking about a Bigfoot here?
Oh, yeah. You're that. I think you might be thinking about Mashope, which is a Native American giant.
Okay.
But
similar to us.
But I mean, if you're into American folklore and maybe some Bigfoots and stuff, my second book I wrote is a standalone. It's all about the Wild West and tall tales, but in an adult form.
Nice.
So you'll have Pecos Bill, Paul Bunyan, John Henry, all that good stuff, but in more of a modern fantasy flair.
Yeah.
Cool.
What did you think of Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Alternate history.
Yeah. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses. Inglourious Bastards is great. I mean, Brad Pitt is great in anything he does, right? Another good one that I think is like kind of in my wheelhouse is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that kind of alternate history. There's oh gosh, what is it? The gentleman, God, it had Sean Connery in it. Oh my gosh. And it had like
League of Extraordinary
Gentlemen. Yeah. That I've had people compare my books and my world to that. You know, they're kind of like all these people from history kind of interacting with each other. And yeah, I have a kind of a short story collection that should be coming out this year. And it's kind of the tagline is going to be, you know, heroes get remembered, but legends never die, you know? So
cool.
That's the Sandlot.
Yeah, Sandlot, exactly. That's
Babe
my
Ruth.
childhood right there, Sandlot.
That was Babe Ruth. Remember, kid.
The Great Bambino.
Yeah.
That wimpy deer?
I was growing up, were you a comic book reader?
The Great Bambi.
Don't mind those. Yeah, when you were a child, were you much into comic books or anything like that? What did you read as a child?
And you know, this is one thing that is,
you don't say Dickens. I don't want to hear that.
No, you will not get any classics from me. I apologize to all the classic fans. Johnson. No, but I was more, especially when I was younger, I didn't really come to reading like hardcore reading until I was, you know, about 20. Most of my stuff is comics, you know, and movies. Like I was the, you know, I played sports and everything, but I wasn't the kid that went out like, hey, let's go out and party. I was like, hey, let's go to the movie theater. You know, like that's, I was in the movie theater every weekend. And, you know, in high school, that was like when I first started writing in high school, my thought was, you know, watching Lord of the Rings when it came out, you know, watching X-Men and all that stuff in the early 2000s. It was like, I could do that. I could write a great story. You know, I could infuse stuff like Underworld. I don't know if you guys are into Underworld, but that's a really big influence to how my, I kind of took that and ran with it. Like the kind of way that vampires are set up in Underworld, I just kind of really expanded that and took it to the next level.
Okay. You got a fan here. Nate Evans wants to know if you're going to write more raunchy scenes. You wrote so many in the first book, you might as well put it in the smut section. I guess Nate's a fan.
I think he's over exaggerating a
Nate
little
said,
bit.
keep it coming.
Yeah. Then he said, ha ha. He said, ha ha.
Yeah.
What is this pornography?
Yeah, there's a couple scenes in there, nothing, no erotica or anything, but it is kind of a love story, right? In an essence, kind of.
Is Fabio on the cover?
People have kind of compared it to The Witcher, kind of Geralt and
that's
Yennefer.
A good one, though. Yeah, that's a good one.
So, what was your first book? Now I'm curious because I've got the one I'm reading is a trilogy. There's a part 2 and 3 to this.
So the book that I sent you is the first book in the whole overall world. It's More Than a Vampire, and then the second book in that series it just came out about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's More Than a God War.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see.
I love those graphics.
Yeah.
And that's one thing when I decided I was going to do this. You know, you kind of, especially if you're not rolling in the dough, you got to decide where you're putting your money at. And of course, you got to have an editor. Yeah. And I was like, most of my money is going to go to the artist. And I wanted everything custom. And I just happened to, I used to be on Twitter a lot. Like that was my get out and talk to people thing. You know, nothing against Twitter now. It's just now that I have YouTube, I'm doing a lot of writing, not a lot of time to bounce back and forth between social medias, but I just happened to throw out there. It's like, hey, does anybody do high level like pencil art or stuff like that? And Matthew Allen Bond messaged me and he's like, hey, check my work out. And yeah, that's what he does, graphic novels and other stuff like that for other traditional publishing people. But I just gave him a couple. Normally what I do is I give him a couple things like, okay, I want the hand, a sword, a little bit of just a tiny bit of color, and then I just kind of let him run wild with it, and he does everything from scratch.
Nice.
And it's just it's worked out, and I really think it just pops off the screen if you're scrolling down Amazon and you see all these different things. I think the black and white really kind of pops out.
Well, I was going to ask if you were influenced by The Walking Dead, the comic book series on that, because the comic
exactly
book
what I was thinking.
Black and white. And
yeah, I've read a handful of my wife. That's like one of my wife's top 3 things in general, between comics and the TV shows, and she's all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was big when I was younger. I was big into Spawn. That was kind of, I always gravitated towards the darker comics. Some of the runs with Batman, a little bit Killing Joke, and stuff, and stuff like that. And that was actually kind of a where I came up with the concept for Simon, the main character, is in my original writings. Now the character has deviated greatly from this. But originally he was a villain. He was a villain in my original stories that I wrote. And when I decided I was going to start writing again, I was like kind of looking for inspiration. I was like, well, what would be a good character? And, and my thought for the book was, well, how can you make a good man go bad? Right. And now again, it's deviated, but the original story, More Than a Vampire, kind of, you can see, if by the time you get to the end, how he could become a villain.
Okay.
I'm halfway there, so
that works.
Your buddy Nate said that you should read the unreleased draft. Oh boy, it makes 50 Shades of Grey look vanilla.
Oh my God, guy.
Please remember to like, follow, and share. That's too, Nate. So.
No, it's funny though. My wife, she'll read, she'll kind of read some of my stuff, and she's like, what you should do is do a dirty version, but make people pay for the extra scenes.
Yeah, she's smart woman.
Patreon.
And I was like, well, if I get big enough, maybe we'll see. We'll see if that'd be on the table there.
Is her pseudonym Nate? She's trying to heckle you into it.
Hey, that might be Nate.
Oh my God.
She's got an alter ego.
I hope not.
Yeah,
I can only deal with one of her personalities.
You just don't get to pick which one every day.
Feel your pain, brother.
If you got to pick, it'd be different.
That's a good one right there. I'm going to use that.
That's a lesson well learned right there.
Well,
yeah, it's a life sentence too. Tiniest set of handcuffs I've ever seen. So
I've made it 12 years. I don't know, man. I'm feeling pretty lucky, but who knows? Any day could be the day, right?
I'm a lifer. I'm a lifer.
It's always exciting.
Yeah, see, from the woman, you hear that, and we're like, it's like,
hey,
just a goddamn love song. Shoot me.
No picnic either,
Hey, once you take in, it's cheaper to keep her. The judge is no longer on your side.
We've really deviated from your books. Sorry.
Hey, I'm just I'm here to have fun, So
it's a podcast.
Sometimes my streams go off the rails, and that's the funnest part.
Hecklers, so it's kind of fun. We've had 2 good hecklers tonight, and I like it. So I'm here for it.
Pretty cool.
I'm just waiting for the lady to call back and ask for somebody random.
Oh,
yeah. Don't encourage her. Don't encourage her. She's watching Romper Room.
She's taking her pills and going to bed.
Oh, Lord,
It's the Oak Ridge Boys
take
song.
pills or pills. It'll be hilarious.
No one knows what you're talking about, Grandma.
You know, she might be getting excited watching the Dukes of Hazzard or something. You never know. It's good old boys.
Oh, we kind of ruined that with the last segment.
Warren.
Oh, mercy. Well, so you're working on a book now, or you're just finishing book? I'm sorry, I've totally lost that part.
All right. Well, so yeah, I showed you. You have More Than a Vampire. The second book I published was the More Than a Gunslinger, which is the kind of the American tall tales and folklore book.
That's what I want.
You know, and that takes place in 1869, just as the railroads were connecting, right? The Transcontinental Railroad. And then my third book was the More Than a God War. I just finished a couple months ago, and it's with the editor. Is the short story collection. You know, it should be out maybe April if everything goes smoothly. And I'm currently writing book 5. I'm like chapter 11 on that out of 30 or 40 chapters, depending. So
wow,
I try to stay busy.
See, you do write pretty quick, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's well, and here's another thing. A lot of people get discouraged when they start writing, right? Because,
yeah,
you know, you're going to write a book between 70 and 100,000 words, you know, unless you're, you know, you got this huge fantasy mind and you're like, I'm going to write a, you know, 700-page book or something crazy like that.
No.
So, you know, when you're looking at writing 300 or 400 words, it looks daunting. You know, when you first start, you're like, how am I ever going to do that? That's, you know, but all you got, if you write 500 words a day, actually you can write less than that. You can write 300 words a day and you'll have a novel by the end of the year. It's just, you know, I tell people it's all about consistency, you know, and some people will say, well, the muse isn't there. The muse, well, you have to be the muse sometimes. You know, you gotta. And 300 words isn't a lot. If you start writing a lot, you can knock out 300 words in 20 minutes. You know, but if you just do that every single day, you will have yourself a book by the end of the year. And that's kind of, you know, that's kind of how I do it now. You know, recently with all the stuff I'm doing now. Do I get a lot of words in every day? No, but I try to make sure I'm writing something. Yeah, I'm getting something down, and it, you know, just keep the progress going.
Mm-hmm. I could write a book because I'm a wordy woman. I'm a wordy bitch.
I used to write screenplays in college. I would getting them on the table. Getting the words out.
I would love to learn how to write screenplays. That would be that would be, you know, that's something my wife was like, you should try to learn. And I'm like, yeah, that would be something, you know, to branch out and try new things.
It's fun. I remember like I took it all in the summer semesters. I would take those kind of classes, commercial writing and ad writing and screenplay writing. And I would just like lose myself for hours, like writing this stuff out. I'd be like Angela Lansbury in Murder, She Wrote, like see her visualizing it in her head and the typewriter. Of course, this was like 05, so I had an old Dell Tower.
Oh yeah,
it's fun.
I always wanted to write comic books until we interviewed Jonathan. What was his last name? Mayberry? Bradbury. Bradbury.
Yes, you're right. Sorry.
And I don't know if you know who he is, but he wrote a lot of comic books. He wrote a lot of horror. He's written a lot. And so I asked him, I said, he worked for Marvel. I think he did some DC work too. I said, so, you know, tell us about writing a comic. And he's like, oh, those are the hardest. I'm like, what? How can that be the hardest? And he said, you have to paint the picture for every cell. And I never thought about it that way. I thought you'd just go, okay, Tom, I need you to draw a car going down the street with bad guys shooting guns. But it's you got to write that little bubble and then put your words in. And I was like,
a small amount to, you know, the picture. The picture helps explain, but you have a short, and a lot of it's really dialogue that you have to kind of show the artist, because the artist has to kind of go off of what you're doing too.
Yeah.
So that's a skill. That's definitely a skill, to be able to show that in such a short period of time.
Yeah, give that to him up.
Yeah, I would.
Don't give something up because it's hard.
Oh.
It's just time consuming. I think it would be time consuming.
Every one of y'all's retired. Time consuming.
Listen, Mom told me I had
you ain't got nothing going on. You ain't got a damn thing going on. Write a comic book.
Hey, I've got stuff going on. You don't know what I've got
nothing.
going on. I don't.
You made cookies for JT yesterday, and that was it.
I made brownies and I made hamburgers.
They're snowed in too.
Always up for some good brownies.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, well, they got a foot of snow in Tennessee, so that's not normal for them. they're in hiding. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was like 4 degrees out here yesterday.
Cold.
It was 13 in Atlanta. That doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen in Atlanta.
No.
People dying.
I woke up at 5 a.m. Our power was out, and it was 2.
Oh my gosh!
Like Rusty Wallace, it was fucking 2 years.
Terrible.
People out there driving like it's NASCAR. Rubbin's racing. Get out the way.
Yeah.
Oh, in Atlanta, they don't. It's not. I don't even know that it's considered driving. I think they see a snowflake and they drive into the nearest thing, whatever it is: telephone pole, person, car.
Wrecking.
Divert your attention to the nearest noun.
Yeah, I remember my wife telling me a story. She lived in Texas for like 6 months, and of course, she lived down there the year that they had like the 2 inches of snow, which was like
that was rough.
the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, there were like 2 inches of snow, and nobody could drive. And she's like, not a single person. Like everybody was like, it was lava. Nobody wanted to step outside, and we're like, 2 inches of snow. I drive an hour to work in 2 inches of snow.
Yeah. Gosh, that was so bad for them. I felt sorry for them. Everything shut down. It was horrible.
Yeah, well, it's like the other guy said. The South doesn't have the equipment and everything. I mean, we got caught up here. We got caught with our freaking pants down one year. We didn't like you said, it didn't snow at all the previous year, so they didn't stock up on not ice but salt. So we had no salt, and an ice storm came through, and there was nothing they could do. They were like trying to truck, salt in from like the ocean or something.
Oh my gosh! It was sand then. Bring in the sand.
Yeah, bring in the sand.
Yeah, it's funny. Atlanta doesn't do it, and I don't know if I said this backstage or on the show, but there's water leaking from the street. The county has a leak. It's going down our hill.
Oh.
And it's not made it above freezing for almost 24 hours now. And so I call him and I'm like, hey, can you come ice the street? And he's like, you're in a back subdivision, sir. Why would we do that? And I said, well, because it's your water and it's your street.
You just have a camera outside your house watching every car slide down the hill.
Yeah.
I'm giving them your number, dude. So.
He said people were trying to walk.
They're trying to walk
up it. I said, "Oh boy, that'd be a fun watch."
I'm a paramedic. I'm walking myself inside. I see nothing.
Yeah.
I'm on the ground sledding today. I thought I had a concussion.
There's a good possibility you might, Bobby.
I did. I fell straight down walking down my hill. My ass hit and it made my spine compress.
Oh, that hurts.
And about the time I hit there, my head bounced off the ice. I just laid there. My hat flew like 15 feet away. My hat just flew off my head. And there's pictures of it, and my hat's laid over there like a crime scene.
I was gonna say your wife was taking pictures. I hope
they did. There's pictures of it. I can find you one right now. Not proud of
they
it.
They didn't check on you to see if you were okay.
It hurts so bad.
Oh my gosh!
I fell like that a couple of years ago and had a big bruise about that big on my butt, or kind of like my butt and hip. Where that bone is. Oh my God.
JR, this is what you got to look forward to further down the road in marriage. You'll have a concussion and she's videoing it.
Oh, my wife had a video of me. Ah, man, I was going to work, and that's probably 5 years ago, and we have like the little blink cameras out front, and I'm walking out, and there's a couple stairs, and it was just a sheet of ice. I stepped on it, and my feet go whoop.
Oh,
and
no.
I hit the ground, and I immediately pop right back up like nothing happened. And I'm just like, that's the difference between being 29 and being 36. If that happens to me now, I'm down. I'm just be like, you know what? Come get me in about an hour when I collect myself.
Yes.
That's right. It gets worse as you get older.
I'd be like, call me an ambulance. Something's broken.
See, I'd be standing over going, you're an ambulance.
Oh, I'd be like,
yeah, you hear it in the background. Is it coming for me?
yes.
God. So on your YouTube channel, what do you do?
I was interviewed a couple years ago by a guy named Philip Chase, and then a guy named Steve from Steve Talks Books. And especially Steve, me and him, became kind of friends, and they're like, hey, why don't you kind of start a channel, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I've been commenting and talking with all the booktubers for about a year. And I was like, well, okay, I'll check, I'll see what I can do. And mainly I do, for the longest time, it was mostly just book reviews. And then every so often we would do a live book discussion from like we did the Dark Tower. Then we did all of Dresden Files. And, next month we'll finish up the Witcher series, and I try to bring different people on, try not to have the same people all the time, try to make connections and stuff, and I love meeting new people. But now I do some opinion pieces and author interviews. I don't know if you've heard of the Sandman Slim series, but it's probably like the second or third biggest like urban fantasy series. But yeah, I got to interview him, which was awesome because I love his, I've read all like 15 of his books. And then I interviewed Gareth Harahan, who's an up and coming author. But yeah, I like interviewing people and just talking to people who have different ideas. Like your last interview, super cool stuff, afterlife and signs and all that good stuff. I love all that.
That's cool.
That's not something you hear every day. That story he had was,
yeah.
I don't know if that happened to me. I don't know if I could write a book about it. I might be a little shook. I don't know that I could deal with that. So,
it's a good way to kind of get stuff out, so you're not like balling it up inside you.
Yeah.
He was talking about journaling his dreams, and I've tried to do that, and I can never remember my dreams. So that has to be pretty intense to stay with him, I would think. Because
if you sleep good, you don't know your dreams. That's like the rule of thumb.
Well, I actually was just having this conversation with my best friend the other day, and he was asking me about dreaming and and stuff because he's been dreaming a lot, and I was like, well, I really haven't dreamt much in the last several years. Like I used to dream all the time. Now I'd have, at one point when I was younger, I had like clinical night terrors. I don't know what that was about, but I don't even dream much anymore. And I think a lot of it is because I write so much.
Could be.
I used to not be able to go right to sleep. I used to sit there and my brain would just run for another 30 minutes before I was able to turn it off and fall asleep. But since I've been writing, like I don't do a lot of dreaming. I go right to sleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. I think because I'm kind of ADHD, so I think writing kind of gets all that out. It's just like, okay, you have all these ideas you want to get out of your head, put them on the paper, and then you can go to sleep. I think that's kind of how it's worked for me.
Do you partake in any greenery? And that makes you not sleep. That makes you not dream.
Bobby must have a concussion.
I'm just asking questions about not dreaming.
Mostly coffee, but I've heard caffeine is what like makes you have dreams. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I'm just like Joe Rogan always talks about how he never dreams because he does smokes weed all the time, and then if he stops for sober October, like the dreams just go nuts.
I could really see that because that'll just relax you to a kind of a Zen state, and I can see that. You don't really, your body's not ramped up or anything. You just go, and of course Joe Rogan works out every single day, so his body's probably exhausted by the end of the day.
Ice bath, bro.
Yeah.
Glenn,
caffeine doesn't make me do anything. I get like a buzz from it for 15 minutes in the morning and then nothing.
Yeah. That's the more you drink it, the more it turns out to be that way.
I just had an energy drink to be a presentable person for this one.
Yeah, my wife. I'll
go right to sleep.
I think it's kind of a I don't know how you want to say it. It's like you do it every morning, and I just think your body gets used to it. It's like a ritual. That's kind of what I was thinking. It's like warm drink morning, good. Wake up, go work. But like now was it 10:47 here? Yeah, I'm gonna finish this cup of coffee and I'll go right to bed. Like it won't.
I'm talking real hard to sleep. Like on Sunday morning, sometimes we don't leave the house till 10 or 11 to go to my parents' house, and I won't have caffeine till then. And I'll take it. Like I'll make the strongest cup I can fit in a cup, and it's like I'm doing a legal drug. I tell the kids to shut up. Like I'll turn on like a really good show for the ride, and I'm like, I'm doing drugs right now. And it just, I feel it just
mainline. Just put the caffeine right in there.
It's my favorite caffeine drink. If I can have a Bang Energy, it's so much better.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but like I'm just quiet. I'm listening to this show. I'm doing drugs on a road trip. That's what I do.
I'm afraid to go camping with you.
Oh, crazy.
Well, and another thing, like talking about dreaming and stuff, is my writing style. I mean, I don't know, how you feel about it since you're halfway into the book, but I tend to, visualize things. I know people. I've heard like a lot of people and other authors say they don't see anything in their head. They just write what they think would be good to write, and on the page it looks good, but for me it's all visual. Like if there's a fight scene, like I'm seeing it happen as though it's a movie. And I'm trying to describe it to the audience in a fun way where they can be like, oh, okay. Like they can see him spin, cut over here, block that, they can see it all as though it's a movie. And, that's how I kind of, try to write all my books. Even in serious situations, I want people to like be in the room when people are heartbroken. I want them to like be like, I want them like, I can see what's happening to this person right now. So that's my whole goal, is to like, most of my stuff is all first person. And I do that purposely because I feel like in first person, you can get closer to the character. In third person, you can get closer to the world. You can show everything in third person. First person, you can only show the people what the person's seeing. Yes. But you're closer to the character, and that's what I, think is most important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
It's funny how authors have their own methodology. We had a werewolf author on, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 shows ago. And she said her entire book was one dream she had at night. And it was like a 400-page book. And I was like, that was one dream? I mean, because it was written with such intensity. I mean, you could, like you said, you could feel the water, you could see the trees. So I was thinking, by her way of doing it, I was thinking that's had to be so difficult. I mean, but that was the way she saw it. So
I could definitely see that, because like people will ask, well, how do you come up with ideas? Or like ideas are not a problem. Like I got stuff running through my head constantly. But the way I start a book is like I see a character, whatever, a gunslinger, a vampire warrior, Dracula, whatever it is. I see the character, and I was like, okay, this is the character's personality, and then from there, I'm like, what kind of world would they inhabit? Like, what, and then what would they do? And then immediately, I see the beginning. I see the beginning of the book, and I see the end of the book, and so I know the beginning scene and I know the end scene already before I start writing, and then it's all about piecing that together. And I could, like you said, with her, having a dream. A lot of times when I do dream, you really remember the beginning of the dream and you really remember the end of the dream, and then in the middle, it's those feelings. It's like you said, like the how she made you see the woods, she made you feel the water. Well, that's, a lot of times those kind of descriptions things are feelings. It's like, what are you feeling when you write it down? So you're like, I felt that fear. I felt the wind on me, and that's how she could probably how she could fill out a 400-page book is, seeing the beginning, the end, and then putting all those feelings into visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said your favorite author now was?
My favorite author is Jim Butcher. He's he's writer of the Dresden Files, and he has 2 other series. But yeah, I grew up reading Jim Butcher, and then Andrzej Sapkowski, the Witcher series. Those were like my 2 foundational series. And one of the first guys who ever did a book review was talking in his video, and he's like, yeah, it's like a mashup of Dresden written as Jim Butcher, but in the world of The Witcher. And I'm like, you pegged me pretty dang good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the, my 2 main things. I've read a lot of Will White, who's kind of blowing up recently with the Cradle series. And, I try to read pretty much, anything I can get my hands on that, sounds interesting. Don't do a lot of romance. I'll pop in and out of some. If my wife's reading something, I was like, okay, if you say it's good, I'll read it. But it's mostly sci-fi and fantasy.
Okay. Who's your favorite comic book character?
These are the kind of conversations me and my friends have, and we could be like on this forever.
Yeah.
I mean, X-Men, it's going to be Gambit. I just I like characters who bring levity and joking around to situations while also being awesome. So Gambit was good. Spawn, crazy backstory. I love revenge stories. So Spawn was always a good one for me. Batman has always been at the, towards the top of the list. I can remember, was it like 92, 93, being a little kid, and kids are, hey Joe, we're getting a football game together, backyard football game, come on. And I'm like, you gotta wait 22 minutes. Batman is on. Batman the animated series, and then of course X-Men from 97 when it was out. Yeah, Spider-Man's good too, but I always gravitate to those darker characters, more real. I like the boys. Yes.
I have five Freddy. Tell me everybody's fly.
Yeah, because it's like that is what it would be like. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, that is exactly what it would be like if superheroes were real.
Exactly. There'd be 1 or 2 good ones.
Soliloquy. Let's light this candle, huh?
Yeah. and that's kind of how I write. I mean, there's not like gore on every page, but like I try to make it as real as possible. If these things were real, what would they be doing? If this character, if Pecos Bill was real, what would Pecos Bill be doing? And if somebody gets hit by a giant, well, they're not just gonna it's not gonna be like the old school movies where they just fly into the wall. Like, unless they're superhuman, they're gonna get ripped in half probably. And so I try to be consistent with as real as I can make it.
Nice.
Remember that '90s movie about Pecos Bill and Paul Bunyan and John Henry?
Yeah, it was Kurt Russell, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kurt Russell was Pecos Bill, or one of them was. And
Oh, that's coming back to me. I hadn't thought of that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
What? Which
Had a
movie?
big old
What'd you say?
mustache.
I can't. It's about Pecos Bill, and kid gets bullied
Oh.
in school, and he finds the book, and Pecos Bill
Oh.
and Kurt Russell and Kurt Russell, Paul Bunyan, and John Henry come back.
Oh.
But that's what I love about Christopher Nolan's Batman. Is this what would be like if Batman was real?
Yeah. Christopher Nolan's is a lot more realistic, and I mean that's another reason that people were talking about. Well, Christian Bale, will he come back when they were going to do Dawn of Justice? And it's like he can't. That Batman is not in that world. Like that Batman could not survive that world. You know.
Oh,
That's the George
Nate said
Clooney Batman you're thinking of.
Nate said it was Tall Tales. It was Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick.
Yeah,
Swayze,
it was one of them.
That's right.
You can just picture the squinty eyes. That's why you thought Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
It's like the same person. All right.
Not quite.
Patrick Swayze, Val Kilmer, and Kurt Russell are the same person. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, no.
They're cousins.
Okay.
And not Bill Paxton.
JR asked, who is the greatest Batman of all time?
George Clooney.
Oh, it's 100% Christian Bale.
No, it's
Okay.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton's
Hey,
good.
you said no.
Michael Keaton's good. I had, what was it? Batman? Was it Batman Forever? Was that Val Kilmer? I wore that VHS tape out when I was a kid. Like every day I watched
What
that.
was the one with everything was the Riddler green? Is
I
that
think
Forever?
that was Forever with Val
I
Kilmer.
love that one because
I wore that. Like Jim Carrey
It was-
is like my favorite
It was a
actor.
pretty good one. Yeah.
and they had that commercial where he said something to eat, Mr. Wayne. He goes, I'll get drive through. And they showed him going to Burger King or some shit. And I used to want McDonald's so bad when that commercial came on.
Which one
Oh my
was the
God.
one that had the penguin in it?
Yeah,
That was
That was
that was the second one. That was Return.
Yeah.
okay.
Danny
Okay.
DeVito.
Yes, that was a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
God,
That
He
was,
played that well.
Huh?
He played that well
He
too.
did.
That was
my
that was a
gosh, yeah,
stellar
Danny
one. I had
DeVito is amazing.
Yeah.
uh,
Okay. He also said
Michelle
bonus.
Pfeiffer as
Yes, it's Catwoman.
Catwoman.
She was
Mhm.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
something
Halle Berry was pretty hot too. So Catwoman. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Michelle
Yeah.
Pfeiffer did a better job of it, though.
Halle Berry maybe more attractive, but the original Catwoman suit that she made was a lot better. Like
Yeah. Okay,
Anne
bonus.
Hathaway doesn't even get honorable mentions.
No,
Get the fuck out of
he's
here.
a
Anne
okay.
Hathaway.
Bonus. Who was the greatest Joker of all time?
Jack Nicholson.
ooh.
Oh,
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
I
is tough.
really like Jack Nicholson, but Heath Ledger
Heath
was
Ledger.
him in
Yeah.
First Night was
Yes.
amazing. And
Yep.
then
About
have
Joaquin
you-
Phoenix.
No, Joaquin didn't do it justice.
That was a creepy joke. Creepy joke.
Yeah, that
I
was
feel like that Joker is like its own entity. It's not
Yeah,
I love
really.
that
it is.
movie. I love that
and
movie,
I've heard
though.
they were going to try and tie it into some kind of Batman, but I don't think they should.
that'll be
either.
hard to do, I would think.
I think the way that they'll probably, if they're going to do that, it's going to be with the new Batman, with Robert Pattinson's Batman, because so far he seems low, kind of Christopher Nolan style, like not too much craziness yet.
Yeah.
But
Well, there was a survey out on the internet, and it was through Comic Book World. They were talking about who was the most violent villain in comic books, and it was down to two, and the Joker was one of them. But everybody agreed that Negan from The Walking Dead was much more of a villain. And I got to kind of agree with that. He was a badass. So he would pop your head with a hammer. He didn't care. So
Didn't he cut that bald lady's head off?
yeah.
the scene where he beat them to death with a bat. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yep.
He redeemed
I
himself.
mean, like that, you know, of course, what's the actor that plays Negan? Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah, JDM.
Yeah, that's one of my wife's boyfriends. She loves him. Anything he does, she's like, ooh, Negan's in this episode. I'm like,
He was good in Rampage with
Okay.
The Rock.
See what?
Be careful. He makes more money than you, JR.
He was in that movie with the Rock called Rampage about the giant genetic.
Oh.
gorilla.
Never had the inkling to see that one.
Did it? It's not bad if you got like nothing to do and your legs broke.
He was in the he played in The Losers, which was pretty good.
We call that one.
It's kind of like a bunch of superhero hitmen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like actually another good comic book, a darker comic book, is The Watchmen. I freaking love The
Yes.
Watchmen. Yeah.
Yes, very good. Well, before we let you go, because we ran a little late earlier, and I know we're gonna run a little late now. But do you have any paranormal stories? Have you ever seen Bigfoot? A ghost woke you up in the middle of the night, or?
I got a couple weird things. You know, now my best friend's a huge skeptic, right? So he'll try to, you know, be like, well, it was this, it was that. But I can remember, you know, being in my room, used to get in trouble all the time for playing video games way into the night when I should be going to sleep for school in the morning. And so I was kind of in one of those, you know, ruts where I was staying up too late, getting in trouble all the time. And I was like, all right, better get to sleep, you know, put all my stuff down. And, you know, my controllers and everything are way on I had a big bedroom and it was all the way on the other side of the bedroom. So I'm laying in my bed and I wake up and I cannot move, right? Some people might say sleep paralysis, but I had my controller in my hands. Well, actually, it was on top of the, you know, my blankets and stuff. Mm-hmm. No, it was definitely not there when I left, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, is there some kind of like thing trying to get me in trouble? Like, and
no,
you know, and you know, I don't like to say I'm religious, but but I'm just like, start praying. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I can move my arms, but I can't get out. So I feel like I'm stuck. And I'm like, my dad's going to walk through the door at any moment and see the controllers there, think I'm playing. And then I'm, so there was that. And like, I broke free as I started praying. It just kind of just let go. And, so some people say sleep paralysis. I don't know.
That's crazy.
I used to live in with my grandparents, and they had this super old house. I mean, this house was like built by my grandmother's father in like 1800s. And, so sure, people died and other things. And my, weird stuff used to go on. Doors would just slam for no reason with no windows open. And, people would joke, oh, it's just grandpa over there or whatever. And then my grandmother, she used to get up at the same time every morning, and she would go to the medicine cabinet, get her medicine, sit down, drink her coffee, take her medicine, do all that good stuff. And then she passed away in the house. And right afterwards, no one's paying attention to anything because, she passed away. We're all, mourning and whatnot. And then just 6 o'clock in the morning, like clockwork, the medicine cabinet would just open. It would just creak open. And sometimes, like, if my mom was cleaning something, like because my grandma would yell at her, not meanly, but just like, that's not how you do that. Or else, kind of like grandmothers do to, whatever. Mm-hmm. And she'd be cleaning and lights would start to flicker.
Oh, no.
And
passive aggressive.
And people would just be like, hey, grandma, it's okay. And it would just stop.
Stop.
And, so I don't know. It was unexplained, very coincidental that certain things would happen at certain times. And
that's not coincidence.
But yeah, I mean, I've personally never seen Sasquatch, but we go out to Denver to see my friend every April, and we were out there in Denver, and I'm like, there's definitely can be something out here. There's so much woods and so little people. Like people, because people who live in the city, they think they're like, we would have found him by now. And I'm like, no, there's nobody out there. There's more people in your city than there is in Colorado. And the amount of woods is more than your entire state. It's like,
yep.
So I mean, my hypothesis, if we were going to be like, what is it? I think it's Gigantopithecus, and I think it came over on the land bridge. Is it still around? Maybe, but that would be my guess of what it is. And it's evolved alongside humans to know that, all right, we don't want to interact with humans because they tend to not like things they don't understand. So I mean, people talk about how many thousands, tens of thousands of cougars there are in California, Colorado, but you never see them until the only time you see them is when they kill someone or so
hit by a truck.
Maybe it could. I would not say that it doesn't exist. I want to believe, as they say.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite thing about Gigantopithecus is? It's literally believing him is literally just as hard to believe as Bigfoot. Because we'd have just as many Gigantopithecus bones as we do Bigfoot bones.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple jaw bones,
and a tooth,
and some teeth that porcupines have been chewing on. And this is another thing I'll tell people. Not saying there's ancient aliens, but about like what we have in Gigantopithecus. It's like if you sit if you're gonna go ancient aliens, if you sit a car in your driveway, it's gonna rust out in 20 years if you don't keep up with it. So what do you think, like things that are 10, 12,000 years ago, there's not going to be anything left. And then same thing with bones. You hardly ever find how many tens of thousands of animals die in the woods all the time. And you rarely, even if you go out in the woods, like I go fishing all the time, I rarely ever see bones.
Even if you know where they're at, you don't see them.
Yeah.
Nature takes care of it.
Yeah.
Yep. So quick.
Yeah.
So quick.
Very quick.
Yeah, I could talk about this kind of stuff for way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We love it, but you should put a Bigfoot character or write a Bigfoot book. What if Bigfoot was a person, but he was a different race?
Bigfoot
and he didn't like people. No, don't write Bigfoot erotica. Race, a species.
What's that?
Okay. That's the Gunslinger book. I guess I'm gonna have to.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
you might meet someone in there if you happen. And also for people who prefer audio, all my books are an audiobook too.
Nice.
That's cool. Dito like that because she can't read. So, but
neither can John Snyder. We found out earlier.
I couldn't believe you said that earlier. So.
Look, my brain does what my brain does. That's why you want me here.
That is true.
I can't believe you said that. Don't ever ask me to help you with your English homework again.
I never have English.
I want to listen to these books, though. Some of those sound cool. It sounds like Buster Scruggs kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the way I'm kind of setting it up is like some fantasy authors will write these big, 800-page books to fit their world inside of. And the way I do it, I want my books to be accessible to anybody who can read at a high school level. Yeah, I want you to be able to understand what I'm saying. So I don't use overly archaic prose. It's, I try to keep for the time frames, but my books are normally shorter, 80 to 90,000 words, and they're normally centered around a character. And I kind of show you a little bit of the world here, a little bit of the world there. And all my books are in the same world, but I'm not a big multiverse person, so there's not going to be any multiverse, but there's a timeline. And the first book, the one that you're reading, starts in 1639, and you follow Simon through there. Well, the second book I wrote and published is Gunslinger. It takes place in 1869 and follows a female gunslinger named Izzy. So, and may or may not have some cameos from other characters kind of passing through, because if you have gods and other characters that are very long lived, they might show up.
Could be.
But that's kind of how I'm setting up. Like, every book is in the same world. And I told people, like, someone's like, well, what do you aspire to be as a writer? Do you want to be Tolkien? And, do you want to be King? And I always tell people, I want to be the Stan Lee of novels. I want people to not just be like, did you love the plot of that book? Did you love the plot of that book? I want people to go, did you love the character? Like, oh man, he just wrote a book and this character is my favorite character now. Or who's your favorite character in the more than human world? That's what I aspire to.
Nice.
I like it. Have you ever read any Harry Turtledove by any chance? Do you know who he is?
I've heard of, but have not read.
Check out a book called Guns of the South by Harry Turtledove. That's probably my favorite novel, and I talk about it a lot. He writes the Civil War, but the German Nazis go back in time.
Whoa!
Yeah, it gets a little weird. So yeah, check it out. It's a pretty good book. So, and he is actually a history professor. So yeah, I've reached out to him, his publicist. I've stalked him on everything, and alas, we never get him. But I keep trying. So,
well, that's half the battle is finding out who you should actually message. Sometimes I get lucky with authors, and I can just message them on Facebook, and they get back to me. And other times, it's like I have to jump through multiple PR people to. I'll send the message out. Will you send the message out?
Yeah. Will you really?
Hey, check out 2 episodes ago, maybe 3. Claire, what was her last name? She just wrote a book. She's a Google executive that became a mom, and she wrote, just a little tiny girl writes this horrible terrorist graphic book, and I'm looking at her on the screen and I'm going, how did you come up with this in your mind? But it was one of those books you just couldn't put it down. So check that out. You should interview her. She's Third World Order, I think, is what the name of her new book is. And it's you really won't be able to put it down. It's one that you just get locked into.
So I will definitely check out the Guns of the South, because that seems like as I read more books, I become more of a idea reader. Like, I want some cool ideas about a book, and that's definitely on there.
Yeah, that one's a good one. So
where can we reach out about like a Netflix show? Sorry, I was thinking about that earlier.
Oh, for you, have they reached out to anybody? Reached out to you with anything like that? Netflix,
Hulu, something like that.
I've had some presses reach out to me, and for possibly rights, but nothing that was sway me. I want to hold on to my stuff. I'm actually contacting. I don't want to say too much, but I'm contacting some people. And maybe down the line, but I want to protect my stuff as much as possible, because I mean, if you've seen what happened to The Witcher, I mean, they definitely did not follow Sapkowski's story.
Well, and even if you stick with Stan Lee, they're still fighting over some of his stuff now.
And George R. Martin.
Yeah, I mean, well, Martin's rolling in. He's rolling in the dough now. I think
he doesn't really care.
Yeah, he's got so much money. Like, I don't think he'll ever finish his series. He might get that second to last book out, but I have a feeling somebody else is going to have to finish that last book, because he has so much money. It's like kind of like a fighter. What's the old saying about fighters is it's hard to get up for a fight when you wake up in satin sheets. When George wakes up and people are just throwing money at him, it's a lot. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's a lot easier to write a story for a video game like Elden Ring than it is to write a 1,400-page novel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he's probably just like, I don't want to do that. It's like, I'm 77 years old. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Probably.
Get a good entertainment lawyer or whatever.
So we actually have I have a paranormal lawyer. It's another whole episode thing we're doing. So where can we find your stuff? Obviously Amazon. The world is on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yep, you can find all my books on Amazon. You can also find them on Audible. And maybe you can get them on iTunes as well. I think Audible ports all the audiobooks over there. You can find me here on YouTube at JR Carrel. And I'm over on Twitter at I think it's actually my name, Joseph Carroll's over there. So
okay.
But yeah, mostly here on YouTube, and you can go to JR Carrel Publications at Gmail if you want to email me anything. If you're an author and you want me to review your book, you can send it over there, and I'll take a look at it, and we'll see if I can help you out.
Cool.
Right.
Cool.
Nice.
Check out Claire. I think you'd be impressed if you get her on the show, and you'll be like, you're like a little tiny woman. She looks like a typical Midwestern mom. You know, she drives the van and takes the kids to soccer. And this book, holy crap. So
sounds like my wife. She's 5'3", but she's nothing but horror and terrorizing movies and books.
And she works for Google, and she talks about what Google's going to do in the book, and so it's kind of scary too.
That is quite scary.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. But well, man, I appreciate you coming on. And when the next book comes out, or you want to make the announcement about your Netflix series or whatever, thank goodness.
Hey, you know what? You asked me about it first, so when I strike an adaptation deal, I'll come on here.
All right.
Okay.
Remember, we're on FM radio now too. So, well, we will be in February, but so
that is awesome, man. I love what you guys are doing out here.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. We try and make it fun. That's why I lost my whole time questioning with you. Well, good. That's what we want. That's what we want. Yeah, thank you for coming on. Stay warm. Don't play in the snow too much. So we're gonna send Bobby some Little Debbie's or something before he withers away over there in Alabama.
Send them some strong caffeine.
Yeah,
that's one thing I do have.
You know, that's what you should have, Bob. You should come up with a coffee company. That's what you should do. Everybody's come up with their own special blend.
Yeah, you should have it encrypted there.
Yeah, the Sasquatch formula. It's got hairy nuts in it. So.
Yeah. I was going to say it'll put hair on your chest.
Yeah. That's a good name for it.
We got to tone it down for FM. JR, thank you very much. Have a wonderful night, and you'll probably keep me up late tonight reading the rest of this book, so I'll drop you a note.
Hey, I appreciate you reading it, and I always tell people the reviews are super important, so I appreciate all the support.
All right.
Hey, it's a great book, so I will give you a review. I think I can manage to type 20 words up that says this is good book. So
and if you like it and you're into audios, I can send you a free audiobook of the next one.
Cool.
There you go. You might do that for Dina. You could send the audiobook to Dina since she has
smack you next time I see you.
Yeah, just hey. Hey, if any of you've read because I don't have any promo codes for the first book now, but I still have a bunch for the second, for More Than a God War. So if you guys end up reading and liking More Than a Vampire, I got codes for you for the sequel.
Cool.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, JR. We will talk to you soon. I'm glad that you come on, and stay warm and dry.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Yeah.
You too.
All right, man. See you. Bye-bye. This was a great episode.
That was good.
I think I should go back and retitle it Bobby Has a Concussion. So
this
And
concussion episode. It's like
and
Michael Jordan's flu game.
And
he won't
Clint's gonna
remember
get
it.
one too.
And we've had 2 hecklers. So yeah, well, I don't know. I think Nate turned out to be a real person. So
Yeah, Nate is.
I think that one guy didn't
his
stick around
friend.
long.
yeah.
Flipped him off.
Dude, what?
Flipped him off
How did you do that? Did you go on Facebook and do it?
just like this.
Oh, I didn't see that. So FM, they will never know. So yeah,
No,
yeah.
it wasn't, I'm sure that wasn't it, but
That was Todd.
oh, it may-
Probably it could have been. You never can tell. But yeah, the one thing there that was said made me think about something. I was like, oh God, am I going to have to contact a probation officer? I brought it up already. So
what was it?
it was just a comment that the Nate person said something about knowing me longer than my wife.
No, that was to him. That was to
Yeah, that's what I was, but
Oh.
I didn't know. So, but I think Nate was probably directing it at him. But so hey, we had some trolling in the audience tonight. I'm all here for that.
That's
So
how you know you're making it. I want trolls. I love trolls.
please remember, thumbs up the video and subscribe. So
I gave the dude my website. I'm like, here, go here. You'll hate this even more. Please tell people to hate me.
And Bobby, I asked, and you will be proud of me, during the negotiation process, I said, well, I'm not leaving Jurg's Radio because we just got there and I'm really happy. And no problem. I can promote and say his radio station, give out the toll-free number. I said, okay, last thing. One of my co-hosts that comes on occasionally, we talk about his website, bobbydizzle.com. And she's like, I have no problem with that. So
Okay.
we're going to get you some
speak.
press. Yeah, as long as he doesn't get PETA involved.
Oh.
He doesn't speak on the radio.
Oh.
I don't know if Bo Duke files a lawsuit, but
That was funny. I guess
it
I'm telling
was.
you, that's where my mind. That's how it works. I can't stop it.
Oh Lord, it's okay.
He said, I think his publicist read it. What if he's illiterate? It's like a Seinfeld episode.
It is. It is.
Not that there's anything
Yeah.
wrong with it.
That's
No,
right.
no. So some of the greatest football players were illiterate and they graduated from college. No,
Oh, Lord.
I'm not. Where did Dexter Manley graduate? He couldn't read a lick when he got to the Redskins. They had to teach him. So yeah, true story. So and he graduated from college.
Hell, Willy Wonka couldn't read. Now look at him. He's a chocolatier.
That's true.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, Bobby. Besides for BobbyDizzle.com, what else you got going on? Trying to thaw
Man,
out?
I am. Tomorrow night, I've got Mike Familiant from In the Shadow of the Big Red Eye.
Ooh.
On Friday night, I have Natasha from Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy.
Yes.
And on Saturday morning at 5 a.m. local, I have Daniel Lee from the UK
Oh.
live,
well,
5 a.m. local. I'm going to go be live at noon on the UK Saturday morning.
All right.
I'm going to have to do actual cocaine for this one. I don't know. I don't know where you get it. I don't know any Colombian people except for Juan Valdez.
Chew those coca beans.
Oh.
Coffee
Because
beans.
usually
Chew
with
the
UK,
coffee beans.
usually with the UK people, I try to do it like 9 p.m. on or 6 p.m. on Friday night, so they don't have to stay up as late.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, what if I did it early on Saturday morning and we went live in the UK and you promoted it out? So that's what we're going to do. I'm trying to do like a UK special.
That'll work.
It's great. It's great. I wish you luck. I think you'll do well.
I seen another strategy today. I'm sorry to bogart the whole show here, but do you know Mike Bluler, the Mississippi guy who had the Bigfoot attack him in the tree stand?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna be a co-host on his show today, but I got stranded at Publix. Yada yada yada, and
Yada yada yada.
he had somebody on. Jessica was in the comments, one of Jessica's friends, and I noticed he goes live at 2 p.m. a lot, and it's just full of Australian people. I said I should get some preloaded stuff and set it to go at 2 p.m. every couple of weeks. Try to get some Australian people in there.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I forget there's other continents.
Yeah.
I'm big in Nicaragua.
Are you?
I was big in Nigeria for a little while.
Oh.
That was weird.
I've got followers in Asia. I have a YouTube, not a YouTube, a Spotify subscriber in Kyiv.
Oh wow!
I have no idea.
You probably paid for his computer.
There's Americans over there, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be. So
I've got
weird.
I've got that guy from Sri Lanka that comes on every one of mine, Kasoon Lee.
Oh.
And he always has to go to bed. It's like it's really late here.
Bless his heart.
Or it's like in the morning or something. He'll come in there and make a comment and leave. I'm like, dang, hey
That's
Kasoon.
nice. He probably gives you a like.
Yeah. He's at every show. He shows up. I'm like, what time of day is it there? It's 7:30 a.m. or something. It's always like the exact opposite.
It's very cool.
Going to work. Tech support, obviously.
God, Dino, where can we find you? What do you got going on?
Well, Saturday night, of course, the Misfits.
That's right.
We'll all be there, right? Right, Bobby?
I'm not.
I will be.
You're not going to be there?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, shut up.
He's got a concussion. He won't remember this tomorrow.
It's my flu game. It's like Michael Jordan.
And then Monday I'll be back with Ross again on whatever that show is. I want to call it.
Is that where y'all make that frozen pizza?
Yes, that's where we make frozen pizza. It's Jurg's tonight. So far, he's thinking of renaming it. It's 5 p.m. Eastern time. And again, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And then Wednesday night again, we'll be back here.
That's right. And next week, let me pull it up and see who we got next week. I should have done this earlier. I was, I just totally lost my train in the second guess.
Wednesday's going to be tough because we have plans next week.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because Thursday we got to be there. I got Vic Cundiff. He's a podcaster. He's got his own show and he's got experiences with Bigfoot and the Dogman. So I'm really excited about that. Right before going out in the woods. And then I have a second guest, Isaac Bentcourt, and I forget what Isaac does. So you'll have to forgive me, Isaac. But yeah, next week. Yeah, I think he's also Bigfoot. Oh no, I remember now. He is a cryptid author. So
awesome. Okay.
So yeah, he does have Bigfoot experience. So yeah, I remember now. I didn't type my notes very well, but
it's a big.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of work to do, so I can go, Bobby. We'll see. I got to start work tomorrow. I got to upload all old shows, so it's gonna be.
I'm going to set one that I recorded like a year and a half ago that I forgot I had. I need to offload it. It's just going to play while we're there.
There you go.
I forgot. Oh God, I loaded this one in.
Bring some stuff. We'll record a show.
Going to be back Saturday night.
No, we'll have to find out somebody. Maybe Bobby can run Misfits. So.
Oh no, I'm not going to be awake. I'm not going to be smoked. Are you kidding me?
Bobby, we might count on you.
The weather could cause a problem. I don't know what's going to happen.
Y'all go freeze your.
I'm more worried about tornadoes than anything right now. I don't know what's.
If it's 16, I don't know that I could do it. So I just don't know.
Tornadoes. Where the hell are you going?
You never know.
LA, Lower Alabama.
Snow tornado.
You don't joke. Colorado had one of those today. Don't joke. Tornado? Yes, they did. It was on the Weather Channel.
I'll be darned.
All I know is there's a Buc-ee's near there, and I will be stopping on the way.
There's a new one coming to Georgia. It's going to be in Brunswick. They broke ground on it. I saw that news tonight.
You'll have to check it out.
Y'all are crazy for going out in that weather, camping.
I got a
for
got a
Bigfoot
$300
lives.
sleeping bag right here, baby. It's coming with me.
Whatever. A
Look at
what?
that.
Electric
$300
sleeping
heated
bag?
sleeping bag.
Oh,
It's electric. It's got a battery pack. It's like it gets hot.
You got a
Got a
cot?
Boston butt.
Burn
Put a
up
Boston
in it.
butt in there with me. Cook a bring a brisket and put it in the bottom of it.
I'm not eating Bobby's food.
Brisket feet.
What a Boston butt? It's a hair in the butt.
It's a toenail.
Barbecue. Oh, God. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week.